Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. Thanks for joining me this morning on a beautiful Saturday morning in Central Florida. Today I want to talk about the Divine Mother. And one of the things that, we've been talking about repeatedly is how we're going to be honoring the Divine Mother on this channel, and that we're going to work tirelessly to bring back the recognition that she deserves. Our Divine Mother has been written out of history, and this has turned into a patriarchal society devoid of the Divine Mother. And, we can just go down a whole list of different reasons that this has happened, but the main reason is ultimately for control and power. And, we have made a commitment on this channel to honor the Divine Mother and to do everything that we can to right the wrongs that's been done to our Divine Mother. And I've been doing a lot of research. I've been reading a lot of books, and we've been going through all this stuff together, and I'm happy that y'all are along the ride with me. But the theories that I've had on Atlantis and how that it's turning out that this Atlantean group of people were actually the Proto-Celtic people. And the Proto-Celtic people spread all around, and they had a wonderful civilization at that time of a tremendous amount of knowledge, technology, everything. And as I'm studying more along, I'm coming to realize that there's a reason that I keep getting this information from my ancestors saying that I need to uphold my family name, that I need to do this, that I need to start a seed bank, that I need to, it's all these things. But I had something really interesting that happened to me a while back, and I put a picture of it as my screenshot on my one of my YouTube things, and I had a picture of this particular penny with a cross stamped in it. And I've been collecting pennies from heaven for a while. And I started keeping them separate, but I just want to show you all of my pennies and change that I have received from heaven. And I pick them up and I pray. Usually I pray and I'll find one the exact same the exact same time that I've just finished praying. But I was praying, and I've shared the story about how I was talking to Archangel Michael, and I was doing things for the seed bank, and I pulled out and I got behind this ambulance that had a logo of Archangel Michael on the back, and then as I went along, and then I found 13 cents. Well, I didn't realize until recently, doing more research on it, that 13 is the number for Archangel Michael, which is the Melchizedek order. But that order came from the Divine Mother. And so I was talking to God and the angels, and I got out of my car to go into the store, and I looked down and I found this penny with a cross stamped in it. And it does look a lot like the cross from the Knights Templar, which is interesting because, my family line, that King Robert, he protected the Templars in Scotland. And I just kind of took this as a sign, is that, I needed to keep digging and keep looking, that I'm being divinely inspired by the Mother. I also found this quarter, and on the back it says Maya Angelou. And, you could say that this might mean, Michelangelo, but it says Maya. And I started doing a lot of research on the Mayan stuff when I was looking for this architecture of this missing civilization of Atlantis that was here. But they were also, the Mayans were in Florida, and the Floridians were in Mexico, because this civilization was all encompassed, And so I want to talk to you about some of the interesting things that I've been reading, and this is based off of information that is from a a Spanish, or I'm not sure if he's Spanish or if he's Mexican, but he's of a Spanish descent, and he put out some extraordinary work. And I'm trying to find the right way to say his name, because his name is Samael Aun Weor, W-E-O-R. So if you want to look up his work, it's S-A-M-A-E-L, middle name A-U-N, and then last name W-O-R. And so what he's talking about is he's talking about the fourth dimension. And I found this really, really interesting, because some of these books that I've been reading talks about an inner earth. And I've been reading a lot of stuff about the bicameral mind. And if you haven't watched my video on the bicameral mind, go back and check it out. So he talks about that there is physical place, there's physical places, that there are blood and flesh. I just got to chill. There are blood and flesh beings, human beings, that are living in the fourth dimension. And the fourth dimension runs parallel with our third dimension. It's just that we cannot see the fourth dimension because our minds are warped, basically. It's that we're not able to go into that space. And one of them is because, I think, is because of our diet. And I'll get on a little bit further on that, because I found this work was really interesting. But he reaffirms, you know, what we've been talking about here, is that this Atlantean civilization was in Mexico, South America, and all of these areas. And, you know, the interesting thing is that they don't have such an aversion to admitting this, not like, you know, the United States does. So, you know, what's really going on. So he's just talking about how that there are temples and monasteries and things like that, where you have the lodges. You have the Black Lodge and the White Lodge, and we have the black magic and white magic. You know, you have the magic of the light, or you have the dark magic, which is like necromancy, you know, where these midway creatures are being appeased to with blood sacrifices, blood offerings, and in exchange for favors, for supernatural favors. And so you have to think, if people are doing this for the bad, you know, what about all the stuff we can attain from doing for the good, right? So they call it, Samael calls it a jinn state, which, you know, now we're going back to some terms that come from the Middle East about these jinns. And a lot of people would, if you look online, you can read stories about soldiers that were in the U.S. military who had these jinns appear to them. And you know, I think that they were mostly bad experiences. And the reason that I say this is because they were in a war. So they were tapping into a more negative frequency. And so you're going to attract a negative jinn, which is a midway creature that is negative. And he says that in this jinn state, he calls the jinn state like the fourth dimension. And he's talking about how you'll find these places in the fourth dimension, that they're there, which goes back to reaffirm, you know, the visit that I had from my son's grandmother, who told me that she was living in an alternate dimension, and that I could go there and feel her, but I wouldn't be able to see her. So he's talking about the Bermuda Triangle in here, and this is the part that I wanted to read because I found it really, really interesting. It does tie into the stuff that we were reviewing with the Edgar Cayce books. Okay, so he's saying, we investigated the Bermuda Triangle. In that zone, there is an open entrance into the fourth dimension. The day will come in which humanity will know that secret, the secret code that is in the Bermuda Triangle. And it says, as time goes by, science will have to come closer to the fourth dimension, and that is obvious. So the question is how do we get to the fourth dimension? What are the things that we have to do to get to the fourth dimension? And it says, people of ancient times knew how to voluntarily place their physical bodies within the fourth dimension. In ancient times, in the times of 1001 Nights, in the country of Ameca, A-M-E-C-A, because America was actually named after the serpent, the plumed serpent in South America. were some scientific tribes that still exist, hidden within the interior of the earth. Hidden within the interior of the earth. They're living in the earth. The key that allows people to penetrate into the unknown dimension was known. Impossible, some will say. How is this possible that the human body can enter into an unknown dimension? Friends, indeed, verily, the physical body is not what scientists, ignoramuses, believe. Some dimwit scientists. The physical body is a crystallized mental form, as is our planet, okay? Therefore, by means of willpower, like we talked about, are you going to have the willpower to refuse all of the gluttonous things that are here in this material realm? Are you going to be able to have moderation, exercise moderation and self-control, right? Therefore, by means of willpower, one can act over the physical body and change its form or place into the fourth dimension. The day when we accept that the physical body is just a mental form, then obviously we will have resolved the problem of the fourth dimension, okay? So it's basically a state of mind. When you can achieve a certain state of mind, you can penetrate the fourth dimension. All the secrets of the jinns consist of knowing how to act over the human physical body by means of willpower. If we accept that it is a form of the mind, a crystallized mental form, in accordance with the laws of octaves, there's the number 8, the number of infinity. Remember, we've talked about different numbers and their values and what they mean. Then we are in the correct way to act over the physical body and place it into the unknown dimension. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. All one needs is willpower, imagination united in vibrant harmony. So it's about frequency. It's about, we got to bring up our frequency. So what do we got to do? Through that path, we will reach the path of success. So it talks about different places in Spain and the Iberian Peninsula, like we've talked about over and over again, how the Iberian Peninsula is where these Atlantean people went. And the more that I'm reading, I'm coming to realize that not only was it where they went, it was where they started from. That Atlantis wasn't in the Atlantic Ocean, but it stretched all the way over to the Iberian Peninsula. And that area was part of Atlantis, and that's where your pre-Celtic people come from. Also, they had traveled the whole world. So they were in South America. They were in the whole coast of the United States. And so, you know, these people have been here for a long time. Your Phoenicians, your Egyptians, all of these things are pre-Celtic civilizations. They left the Iberian Peninsula, and they went to Egypt. They were in Turkey. They were all around the Mediterranean basin, big trading hub. And they knew a lot. They knew about, you know, they knew about alchemy. They knew about different minerals for vitality. And they were the pre-Celtic people were the one that wrote the Bible. That the Bible is just an allegory, like we talked about a long time ago in one of my videos. I said, I think that we're going to find out that the Bible is actually just a guidebook that says that you need to take care of your vagal nerve system and your Sophia, which is your soul. So this alludes to what happened to me the other night, September 11th, ironically. September 11th, I had my first face-to-face, well, my second, because I got this download, and I talked about the owl woman that I was astral traveling and I ran into when I was with my mother in an astral travel state. And I was just on just a twisted path trying to figure this out, you know. And I came across the goddess Minerva. And Minerva is the goddess that represents the owl. But as you just start unrolling that thread and unrolling that thread, it leads back to the Divine Mother, which is Bridget. She is the Divine Mother. That's where the country Britain is named after. The Irish call her Brigitte. There's all different names of deviations of Bridget that go back, way, way back. And I'm here to tell you that Bridget paid me a visit. And I have been blown away ever since I had a visit from Bridget. And one of the things that she told me that we all need to read the book of Daniel. So I got out my C.S. Lewis and my C.S. Lewis Bible, because he loved philosophy. And I started reading Daniel. And lo and behold, you know what Daniel talks about? Daniel talks about diet. Daniel talks about how when he was living in the king's court, that he did not want to eat the king's diet, that he did not want to drink wine, and he did not want to eat blood, that he only wanted to eat fruits and vegetables, because when you only eat fruits and vegetables, which is the fruit of the garden, that you are able to connect with Source. And the other thing that she talked about was Delilah. She talked about Delilah and how people right now are in their Delilah, where they are in their sex and their lower chakras. And that we have to mutate that sex energy up, because that's the secret to vitality. It's moving the sex energy up through the vagal nerve system, up into the brain. And it just blew me away. And you know, the other thing is we talk about Hesperides, the Garden of Hesperides, and the golden apples. The Garden of Hesperides, what if it's been here the whole time and we just can't see it because it's in the fourth dimension? And what if it really is where we've said that it is, that it's in St. Augustine, that it's throughout Florida, that is the Garden of Hesperides? What if it's still here and we just can't see it because we're in the third dimension and not the fourth? So I really want to challenge everybody to go on the Daniel diet. Stop eating blood. If you want to connect with the Divine Mother, you have to stop eating blood. And that's all there is to it. And if you can't do it, then you don't have the discipline that is required to be able to go into the fourth dimension. And that's all there is. I mean, it came from Mother of Souls herself, the Mother of Souls herself, Bridget. Bridget is closely approaching Earth in her archetype from the planet Nibiru, that Lucifer is just another name for the divine light of the Mother, the morning star. And we've been lied to. All of the books have been twisted because there were people that were in Rome that were involved with the Catholic Church that did not want to lose their power. And this is why you had all the stuff that happened with the Knights Templar. And the other thing that I've come to learn is that that Mary Magdalene was indeed the Holy Grail, and that her and Jesus had children. But what most people don't realize is that she was also married to John the Baptist, that she was married to John the Baptist first. And then she married Jesus, and she had children with both. She had children, and the Knights Templar found those. They found the tomb where Jesus was buried, Mary Magdalene was buried, and John the Baptist, and their children. And she had children with John the Baptist and Jesus. That she was married to them both. So if you go back and you look at the laws around marriage, you'll see that when a woman is married in that part of the world, when she's married, that if her husband dies, usually the sibling will marry the widow. So the question is was John the Baptist really Jesus's brother and not his cousin? I think it might be. I mean, we already read the Gospel of Thomas, Didymos Judas Thomas, which means twin. So was Jesus half a twin? I think it's very possible, because he comes from these Merovingian princely kings, and they're leftovers from Atlantis. They're leftovers from Atlantis. And I think that we're going to find out that Noah was from Atlantis, that in Atlantis, when I say Atlantis, I mean Ireland. I mean early Ireland. The Atlantis is just the word that was given to hide the true origination of who these people were. These people were the proto-Celtic people. They wrote the Bible, they built the pyramids, they invented the hippodrome. All of this amazing architecture, stonemason work, these cathedrals all over the world, that is all Atlantean knowledge. All Atlantean knowledge, which is learned through the mystery schools now, because we used to have a bicameral mind where we completely were connected with source, and all of the information we got was divinely inspired from Bridget, aka Sophia, the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother. And when we had a cataclysm and the island of Atlantis sunk into the Atlantic Ocean, that people had to go into the earth, and it wasn't an ark, it was Mount Ararat. If you spell Ararat backwards, you get Tara, T-A-R-A, Ra. And we know that Ra means sun. And Tara is in Newgrange. And there's a huge waterproof structure that was built there that's massive, and they have all these crazy theories about it. But the fact is that you have these megalithic structures all over the world that you literally cannot slide a sheet of paper between the bricks because they're watertight, they're waterproof. That was because that was their arcs. Those were the arcs. And as far as Noah goes, the 2x2, that just means genetic. So he basically took seed, just like we're doing with the seed bank. He had a seed bank of genetic material of animals and of plants that were taken inside in the hill of Tara and were preserved. They were preserved for after the flood. And then they went all around the world and they helped these people farm and raise animals. But in that meantime, people started eating animal flesh. And when they did, they got parasites, and parasites fractured the bicameral mind. And we could just go into a whole ball game of all of the things that's being experimented and done with the mind, and fracturing the mind and creating altars. And a lot of people refer to that as MK Ultra. But the whole point is that these people that come from this civilization, they have more of a bicameral mind than most of the people on the planet. And that's why they search for certain genetic lines to put in these programs, to exploit, to take their sacred enzymes. And I know that it was the Divine Mother who told me to start this channel and call it Sacred Enzyme, and that I'd find out later. And I have done everything that I've been asked. And, you know, just like the seeds and the beans and all of these things, the alchemy gardening, the aloe's working. The aloe that we put on in the alchemy garden, it's cleaned up my citrus greening. So, seriously, we got to go back and take a look at that. And we're going to go out today, and I'm going to show you the stuff that's grown in the alchemy garden, the last experiment we did. It does take a little longer when you do the putrefaction process, because all that has to break down and then the seed has to emerge. But what we're doing is we're creating enzymes. We're creating sacred enzymes in these plants, and they need it because the earth has been stripped from too much poison, toxic chemicals, and phosphorus being introduced into the planet. So it's been 24 minutes, and I just wanted to talk about the fourth dimension, the Divine Mother. Divine Mother's coming back, folks. The right brain and left brain are coming back. Hopefully, you know, that we'll all be able to go into the bicameral mind, doing the Daniel diet, raising our vibration. But the main thing is that you're going to have to eat like Daniel. And that's all there is to it, folks. If you want it, you got to earn it, you know. And the other thing was that she was talking about that it's like an arrow, that an arrow cannot fly unless you take the action of pulling the bow back and letting the arrow go, okay? That was the analogy that I got, is that if you want to, if you have to put some action into having a result. So if you just sit there and talk about it all day and never apply anything, then you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. So with that, I thank you for spending 25 minutes with me this morning, and we're gonna make some videos today on the alchemy garden. I've got my best buddy coming over today to help work on our seed bank and our alchemy garden, and then we're gonna do some healing. And so if it's okay with her, will you stop, Ghost? The dogs want to go out and they're driving me crazy. If you, you know, if you're interested, maybe she'll allow us to do one of the acupuncture and Tesla healings that we've been doing. And so, you know, you can see what we're doing. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. Stop, Ghosty. I know you want to go out. I get it. So with that, I'll catch you on the next one, and I hope that you're having a good day, and thank you for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.